Now that we have the orthography and the automatically generated IPA target, we're going to complete the IPA actual tier, which is the real transcription process. For this, we go to the speech analysis view. I like to see more of the spectrogram because that's especially informative if you know a little bit about how speech sounds up here on spectrograms. And there's a couple resources you can check out just to really quick get some tips on how to identify different consonants or vowels or other features in a spectrogram. But for the time being, we're going to listen to the segment. So I can play the segment.
Say happy birthday to you,
And I can also select a segment
happy birthday,
and hit spacebar or just the play button to single out an individual sound or just a portion to listen to it more carefully. So let's go from the beginning.
Say happy birthday to you,
And this is where we're going to pull up this great feature, which is the IPA map. And so on Windows, you can either do Control M or navigate to Tools. And this is really your bread and butter of transcription here. We have an IPA map, and it's quite detailed. It has all of the consonants, vowels, potential diacritics, including the extended IPA, available here. And there's some neat features that I like to point out. For one thing, it will highlight recent or frequently used phones so that they're easier to spot. You can also save certain characters as favorites, and they'll appear right here at the top. For example, let's say I'm often using this symbol, so I'm going to make it a favorite, and this one as well. Maybe certain diacritics like aspiration I use a lot. And they're going to be right up here just so that it's easier to access them. And now I can start transcribing. If the characters are just regular alphabet characters, you can just type them, and then when you need to add an additional character over here, you just select it. Let's listen to the segment one more time.
Say happy birthday to you,
And begin transcribing. So, and I've got this diphthong here. I'm, in this case, not particularly concerned about using the ligature for the diphthongs, and Phon usually does fine with that. Now let's listen to happy one time in isolation.
happy, happy,
Happy. Okay, and that sounds good to me. Next word. Listening to birthday
birthday,
and transcribing. Now let's go back to that vowel one more time. I don't believe I'm noticing of that rhotic feature in the vowel, so we're going to just use this symbol. And listening once more.
birthday,
So there's this empty space here, really, rather than some clarification noise, which makes me think this is probably not a fricative, but rather a stop.
birthday, birthday,
And there's a little bit of aspiration here, which makes me think this is going to be a voiceless stop T. And I'll transcribe the rest of that with the vowels I hear. And finish the rest of the transcription. Now let's listen just one more time. Now I'm wondering if that H is in here. And now it's a yes. It's a little faint, but I believe that fricative is there. And so this is how I have the child's transcriptions. Now, if this is how I want to make my transcription, generally you want the IPA target to match the same conventions you're using. So if I'm not going to use ligatures, then I'm going to actually delete those. Um, and other things that might matter, for example, if you are choosing to use the rhotic vowels to represent this um, vowel R situation, or in other cases, maybe you choose uh, to represent it as a vowel and a separate consonant. All of those are fine, but you're going to want to just make sure that you do the same thing in the IPA target as the IPA actual, the same convention, so that it's accurately reflecting the difference. Because, and this is where Phon gets really cool, we have this alignment view, which breaks up this alignment view, which breaks up the transcription into syllables and also breaks it further into where each segment falls inside of the syllable. And this is automatically generated based on its dictionary of syllabification in the various languages that Phon has available. And so you can see here with sing, blue refers to an onset, green refers to a coda, and we also have the nucleus. And here you can see the diphthong here, A. It's treating them as separate segments, but you can see that they're actually connected together in the nucleus. One cool thing that Phon does then is in the alignment here, and this is really important if you want to do relational analyses, because Phon can tell you how the different phones relate to each other in the target and actual productions, but you have to make sure that they're aligned appropriately. And Phon does this automatically, but sometimes you need to adjust it. So here we have sing, and it's aligning the I with this component of the diphthong, which makes sense. And you can see here that in the target there was an eng for sing, and if the child left that out, there should be an empty space here, meaning the child deleted the eng. And so you can think of the alignment as a way to describe certain phonological processes or error patterns. So if there's something in the target and an empty space in the actual, that means there was a deletion. If we have the opposite scenario, for example, where let's say change horsey to hoseat for whatever reason, then the occurrence of this sound in the actual but not in the target would be an insertion or a penthesis. And then of course, so here S being produced as Z, we could consider that to be voicing or a substitution type of pattern. And Phon can recognize all of these if you do your transcriptions correctly and align them correctly. And so we would just go through each of the records and transcribe each of the utterances the same way we would transcribe any sample. This is the most time-consuming portion, but well worth the effort. As you do it more, it gets faster and faster. And what's really, really great is you save a lot of time with analyses later. And in the future, we'll be learning about all the different analyses you can do with Phon once you have your transcriptions completed.